Hello, this is Pastor Minguel. I want to come to you to finish up chapter 1 of Leviticus. On the first videos that I made, I had some issues with the computer, so I had to make them in 3 parts to just get started. But I'm hoping that today I can just do this part without having to divide it up. So pray with me as I go through it, and that the computer will cooperate with me. I wanted to give some knowledge that God had revealed to me this morning. On yesterday, I was watching Peter Stone, and he began to talk about the heart. And he had done some research on the heart. And as he began to read the research that he had found, I remembered that some years ago, Juanita Bynum had done some research on the heart. And the heart is the muscle or the part of the body that holds our emotions. When you tell someone you're in love with them, you love them with your heart. The heart is a part of our being which maintains the emotions that we have experienced. And he was talking about, Peter Stone was talking about how sometimes we tend to revert back to things that we learned, or things that we experienced, or things that had happened to us, because they're in the heart. And some of the things that acquire themselves in the heart are not always things that are good. Things that have happened to us that may caused us some hurt, some pain. It doesn't always just disappear. It remains in our heart. And I believe this is why Leviticus is an important part of God instructing his people, not only the Israelites, but it will help us see how we can be delivered from some of the things that we have gone through, or some of the things that we can't seem to shake, because it's in the heart. The Egyptians, as I said on the first video, were in Egypt with the Israelites. And the Israelites had learned or experienced and lived around the customs of the Egyptians. And you know, they said association brings about assimilation. So when you're around somebody for a long time, there are things that you pick up from them. And they had picked up some of the things that were not of God, and they had deposited those things in their heart. Sometimes we don't even realize we could be hurt by something that happened so many years ago, and we don't realize that the hurt is still there until Peter Stone said, until we came into contact with something that was familiar with what had happened. He said smells, something that you might see, someone that you might see would trigger whatever the emotion is. It doesn't have to be anything bad. It could be something good. You can see something and remember a good time that you had. And you can see something and remember something bad that happened. So it's the heart that God was working on. In the process of the sacrifices, he wanted it from the heart. He wanted it to be pure. And so we're going to go into the second part of the first chapter of Leviticus. And we're going to look at what God's instructions are to his people, wanting them to change what's in their heart, not realizing that there was a stain there from being evolved with the Egyptians. I'm going to read from Leviticus, first chapter, 10 through 17, which will end that chapter. But if his gift for a burnt offering is from the flock, from the sheep of the goats, he is to present an unblemished male. He will slaughter it on the north side of the altar before the Lord. Aaron's sons, the priests, will sprinkle its blood against the altar on all sides. He will cut it into pieces with its head and its suit on the priests, and the priests will arrange them on top of the burning wood on the altar. But he is to wash the entrails and shanks with water. The priest will then present all of it and burn it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a fire offering of a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If his gift to the Lord is a burnt offering of birds, he is to present his offering from the turtle doves or young pigeons. Then the priest must bring it to the altar and must twist off its head and burn it. On the altar, its blood should be drained at the side of the altar. He will remove its digestive tract, cutting off the tail feathers, and throw it on the east side of the altar at the place for the ashes. He will tear it open by its wings without dividing the bird. Then the priest is to burn it on the altar on top of the burning wood. It is a burnt offering, a fire offering of a pleasing aroma to the Lord. These are the same instructions that God had given in the first chapter when he talked about bringing an offering of the livestock. He gave some more specific instructions concerning the gifts of the birds. I'm not a country girl. I'm strictly a city girl, but I've heard things, and those of you who are from the country, you know more about what you have to do in order to get an animal prepared for intake to be eaten. But I have heard that chickens, before you get ready to cook them, that their neck is wrong. You wring their neck. And so these things that we are talking about right now are things that are done today. As I said in the last video, it's nothing new, but the instruction came from God. If we look at what we do with the animals that we are allowed to intake, you will see that the instructions line up with what's going on today. So I just want it to be clear that, there may be some question about why is it done in this manner. And if we just look at what goes on today, we'll see that there's not much difference, and that God was using this particular offering for his people so that they would be upright and holy. It says again that what they did was a pleasing aroma to the Lord. Again, God just wants us to come to him, to offer up to him ourselves. If we've done something that is not pleasing to God, and we all do it, we all make mistakes, that he just wants us to come to him from the heart, offering him the good thing, the best thing. And I'm sure that when someone offers you something, you want the best.